Welcome to the Smart Publishing Impact Series, where we show you how to turn your expertise into a book that actually drives results. I'm Jonathan Lautermilch, CEO of Smart Publishing.
And I'm Renée Lautermilch, Chief Editor of Smart Publishing. This is the podcast for business owners, coaches, and professionals who don't just want to be authors. They want to use a book to build authority, attract clients, and create real opportunities.
Each week, we break down what actually works when it comes to writing, publishing, and leveraging a book the right way. Sometimes it's just us pulling back the curtain on our process. Other times we're joined by authors, industry experts, sharing how they've used a book to grow their business. If you've ever thought about writing a book, or you already have one and want it to do more for you, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Smart Publishing Impact Series. This is episode 61, and I am one of your co-hosts, Renée Lautermilch, Chief Editor at Smart Publishing, and I am joined by
Jonathan Lautermilch, Head Honcho, CEO of Smart Publishing. Honored to be here, my love.
Yeah, we don't have like a pithy title yet for episode 61, but we're going to discuss a few things. I have a little bit of an editor's rant that I already told Jonathan that I want to go on. You know, we always start with some fun stuff. And then we're going to go into, Jonathan has some content related to serving on the level you're on. And then we also have gotten a lot of questions, and it's usually a really great place to talk from when we discuss the call to action content that gets put within your book. You know, what is the major mechanism of how your book on its own is going to send someone to you or your back end offer or whatever it is. So we'll come up with a really cool title for it. You'll be amazed, you'll be dazzled, you'll be tickled.
So stupid. I know why you tied. Well done. I know why you tied that in. You're ridiculous.
You'll be tickled like Jonathan is in the morning. So we were just musing. Okay, let me explain.
Context, like people, what?
The context is coming. This is how I keep people listening. They have to hold on if they want to hear why you're tickled in the morning. Yeah. So we were just musing. Our daughter, she's 3.5 basically, and she right now has this whole thing that she does in the morning before I take her to school while Jonathan's usually still sleeping. She thinks it is the most hilarious prank. So, you know, we're getting ready. I'm getting her ready in her room and stuff. And the sort of main upstairs bathroom is right outside of mine and Jonathan's master bedroom. And so the door is shut so he can try to sleep at least, even though she can't talk. She screams. What is it with kids? Everything is yelling. Everything's yelling. But she wants to give everybody a sticker every day. So if you're watching this on YouTube or this ends up in a clip, I've got a sticker of Princess Ariel after she gets her legs on my arm. Aria has a sticker of some stuff, but everybody needs to get their daily sticker, right? But Jonathan's usually asleep before she goes to school. So she has to sneak into the bedroom quietly. Her idea of quietly, you should hear her trying to open a doorknob. It's like, it would wake up our neighbors, honestly. Like, just open the door, child. I don't know what the deal is. Okay, so she rattles the doorknob as loud as she can while trying to quietly get in, sneaks over there, lifts the covers where Jonathan's foot is and sticks the sticker on usually the bottom of his foot, and then leaves giggling.
Yep.
Thinks it's hilarious. I have not seen exactly what your process is when you wake up, whether it just falls off as you continue to sleep or... So, one, I want to know, are you aware that she puts the sticker on your foot? And two, what happens when you wake up?
I'm awake every time. Every time. So I can hear her coming in and she's giggling. I'm like, here comes the sticker. And there's times where, like, I'm wide awake. I just play along because I know she likes it. So I'm just like,
he plays dead.
Yeah, I play possum, essentially. And then she always puts sticker on, and then I can hear her giggling, take it off as she slams the door. I'm awake the whole time, you know what I mean? And that's actually my new alarm now, is getting a sticker on the foot, because after that, I'm like, all right, let's get up, do stuff. But yeah, it's become a new ritual for me and Aria, and she's having quite a lot of fun with it. So I just play possum now and just go, okay, I'll let you do this.
Well, I guess it's extra alarm because she doesn't stop there. Then she realizes, oh, the bedroom's dark and I love playing with my flashlight, but no other room is dark. So let me take my flashlight. She'll take her flashlight like she's going spelunking in a cave or something. And she'll go into the bedroom and shine this flashlight around all over the place. Meanwhile, I'm like, Aria, Daddy is trying to sleep, and she's in there with the flashlight, going on an adventure.
Yeah, like, I have to sleep in total darkness. So, like, I cover my face, so I can't see anything. But, like, okay. I'm awake the whole time. Just sitting there, just like, here it comes. And I'm just kind of, like, imagining what it looks like. Because I don't ever, like, poke my head up, because that gets rid of the fun. You know what I mean? She needs to think I'm still sleeping, so I just let her go in there and put sticker on.
Yeah. Well, it looks ridiculous. And then when she goes in there in the flashlight too, it's not this like steady flashlight of like, I'm trying to discover things, I'm trying to see things. It's like, I mean, it's some heavy duty flashlight flailing around. Like she wants to light up everything at the same time. She's
coming in there like Michael J. Fox.
She's an interesting kid. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's fun stuff. Now, before we get into the core content, because I know you want to get into talking about, you know, how people can serve on the level they're on, I've got something that has come up across multiple authors this week and last week, and I just want to address it to anyone out there who is working on a manuscript or thinking about working on a manuscript. From an editor, there is no hard and fast rule. Maybe this is to all the OCD people out there, for how long your chapter needs to be. Your chapter can be as long as it needs to be, and there's no hard and fast rule about symmetry. They don't all have to be the same size. A chapter can be as long as the content dictates. Now, here is where I will cut the length of a chapter. You're talking about the same thing over and over again. There's duplicative content. There's filler, there's fluff, there's non-value added content in there or duplicative content. Then it makes sense to trim it down. But there's no reason in which we would just stop at page number X because it's longer than some of the other chapters and totally break up the flow of the reader just to section something out to make it even. And this is where, I've talked about this before, this is where headers within your chapter are really important, because for the reader, if I'm reading, I don't want to stop in the middle of a paragraph. I'm not going to remember where I was. It's not going to finish the thought that the writer was expressing. But I can very easily, and I actually have this now in the book that I'm currently reading on my Kindle app, I have a bookmark not at the end of a chapter, inside of a chapter before a new section header, because he hasn't gotten into that thought work yet. He hasn't gotten into that content. So as long as, you know, if it's a lengthy chapter, just make sure that there are section headers, you know, and that allows the reader to put a stop in it and come back fresh and renewed and remember where they left off. So no, all chapters do not need to be exactly 12 pages. Just let that cast aside. Okay, my editor's rant is done.
Do you feel better now?
I'll feel better when people stop asking this stuff.
For y'all watching at home, sometimes you just gotta let them get it out of their system. Just let them get it out, you know. Sometimes they don't need you to talk; they just need someone to listen. So I hope you feel better after the rant. So something that made me think about, I wanted to talk about this week. And this is actually from just all different conversations I'm happening with all different types of business owners, coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, like all different industries and all different levels. And I was having a conversation with this guy, and, he's kind of one of those jack of all trades types, right? Like he sells a little bit of this, he sells a little bit of that. He's got his hands in a half a dozen different things, right? And for him, as we were talking about kind of like his book concept and idea and, what's kind of the best way to create that tie-in to build that personal brand for him, something that was really unique for me just having a conversation with him was he's got over 20 plus years of networking experience. Right. So he's done all different types of groups and masterminds and in person, online, he's went through the whole gambit of it. So we came up with kind of a book idea for him, Connection Over Collection, right? Focusing on, how do you build real relationships when you're out there networking versus just doing what most people do, which is, handing out business cards and just kind of focusing on what they can take versus actually like building real relationships with people that actually lead to business, right? And as we were talking about this, he loved the book concept, but something he said to me was he didn't feel like he had any real value to share from that 20 years of experience. And that's when I looked him straight in the eyes and said, that's bullshit. All of us as human beings have collect experience and wisdom over years that is unique to us, right? And I guarantee that you have at least one other human out there that would benefit from some of that life wisdom and experience that you've gone through, right? The problem is we're so close to our own story that we miss the forest oftentimes. And it's oftentimes too, we actually start acknowledging that within ourselves is when imposter syndrome flares up the most, right? Who am I to be qualified to give any advice or expertise on anything because how I view myself is not very high at the end of the day. And I'm not talking so much about this gentleman. I'm just kind of talking in general now. And it really made me think of one of my favorite, sayings that I've heard over the years. And I forgot who exactly said this. But it's you serve on the level you're on till you serve on the level you belong, right? And that was something that helped me personally shift out of working as a fitness manager and general manager and all the different roles I had in the fitness industry and finally break into entrepreneurship, right? There's a time and season, and Renee, you know this, you watched me go through the whole thing. I thought I was never going to get out of that industry. I thought I was going to die as some old man still running gyms and fitness clubs. Like that scared the living daylights out of me. Like that was my biggest fear. It should. Yeah. And if it wasn't for hearing that specific quote that I just shared with y'all, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So in that season, I leaned in and started looking at, well, what are the things I know I can absolutely help this type of person with? And at the time, it happened to be gym owners and personal trainers. I had over 12, 13 years of experience of being a top producer and running gyms and building teams and systems and all the things that go with that. So that was where I started. My entrepreneur career was focusing on business consulting and marketing and systems for specifically personal trainers and gym owners. That was the level I was on, right? And over the years, as I developed more experience, more wisdom, and really just getting exposed to new opportunities is where fast forward coming up 8 years and we run a book publishing company of all things, right? And if you had told me, Renee, like think about this, like if we knew that this we would end up doing back then, like I don't know about you, like I would have laughed. I'd be like, there's no way that you and I would be doing this today based on where I was in that season and where you were in your corporate career. And it all came from serving on the level that you're on till you get to serve on the level you belong. And I share that because when it comes to writing a book, that's all you're really doing. You're just serving on the level that you're on going, I'm writing this book for this type of person or people that I know without a shadow of a doubt, if they apply even a fraction of the things I'm sharing, they will get a positive benefit in their life, in their business, once again, whatever the book's about. And that's who you focus on serving first. And as you do that long enough and hard enough, then you will earn the accolades that then serve on what I'm saying is the level you belong, which is, your end goal of like, that would be the dream to be able to do that.
Yeah, I wrote two things down that what you were saying caused me to think of while you were writing them. And, one is for those out there who are thinking, well, I'm not as much of an expert, or I haven't been doing this as long, or any of those things. One, the experience and the expertise is only part of it. I believe one of the larger impacts of how you impact the people you serve is whether you have a spirit to serve. So let's think about this in terms of Baskin Robbins, okay? Versus there is this really, really cool mom and pop. It's actually mom and son. They're from South Korea, and they have this really cool ice cream shop. They only usually have 5 flavors. They are very new. They've been around for probably less than 12 months down the street. They've got 5 flavors. They change those flavors out every single week. And it's these kind of crazy flavors too. It'll be like tomato strawberry. And like, I think I brought some ice cream home from there once, and you were like, I don't know about this. And it was really good. It was some kind of like popcorn tiramisu combination. They have these really weird combinations. So here's my point. These folks are so passionate and so into what they do, and they create such an amazing atmosphere. The mom who makes the ice cream from scratch comes out, talks to people about what they want to see, that this place is more successful and way busier and way better and way more highly rated than the Baskin Robbins 2 blocks over that has been doing this for decades and decades and decades and decades. And that is because these folks have the spirit to serve, they have the talent, and they have the passion for what they do, and that makes them 10, 20, 100 times better at doing it than the place with all the time and all the experience, right? And that doesn't just apply to people who run ice cream shops. That applies to people who do anything. So that's one thing that sort of hit me while you were talking about what you were talking about. The other thing that hit me is how much of this is imposter syndrome. You have to stop yourself. Before I wrote my book, I would see other people who wrote books out there and think, well, I'm just not there yet. I'm just not there yet. That's the constant thing. I'm just not there yet. I'm just not there yet. I wasn't there yet until I decided I was there yet. You are the only person who decides if you are there yet. And let me tell you something. I am working on a legacy, a lifetime legacy book with the grandfather of executive coaching. This guy did the original studies that have basically helped the industry of executive coaching get to where it is. This guy is a legend in executive coaching. He has imposter syndrome, like I see in people less than half his age. He's 72 years old. This guy has built an incredibly successful company, incredibly successful, continues to be successful, works for Fortune 10, Fortune probably 5 companies, like massive companies. And every single time I send this guy a chapter, he says he's terrified to open it because he's terrified that he'll look at it and reflect on it and think that his life's work was nonsense and that it meant nothing. And he even just said to me yesterday that his worst fear is that I'm going to look at his work and think he's an imposter. Who am I? I don't do anything with executive coaching. But come on.
It's crazy what comes out in the form of imposter syndrome. It's kind of it's a unique experience for us because we get to see all that and hear all that. And it's wild, like what formulates. It's all based on that. That's the root of it all, but it comes out in different forms for different people, and it's all coming out because it's trying to stop that person from doing something that's actually going to move the needle in what they're doing, right? Imposter syndrome doesn't come up when you're doing things that don't matter. It only comes up when you are doing things that are going to unlock that next season of your life. And I think that's why it's important to see it for what it is and almost treat it like an enemy in a video game. So me and Renee are big gamers, right? So when you're playing a video game, if you're going in a direction where there's no enemies, you're probably running the wrong way, right? Oftentimes in the video game, it's where the enemies are coming from, which is exactly the direction you need to go to beat the level, beat the boss, get the next thing you need, and then rinse and repeat moving forward. So that's how I see imposter syndrome, is if I'm not feeling a little bit of it, I'm not doing something that's worth doing at the end of the day. So I think if you can create that self-realization with it, you can at least see it for what it is and realize that's not true at all. That's the enemy, right? Trying to stop me from taking the next step, and truly writing and creating something that will absolutely help someone because you've personally been through that. And once again, I believe every single person on this planet has that level of experience in some area that they could use to serve someone on that next level, but you got to beat the imposter syndrome to get through that step. So that's really the big thing I wanted to talk about. But I think the next part of it too is like, and you and I were talking about this offline, is how do you write your book or create it in such a way that it actually does help the person, right? Because oftentimes, you read a story, and let's take David Goggins for an example. I know we make fun of him a lot on this show, but no, all seriously, this book was good. But he has such an extreme story, but not a whole lot of like tying into like, what does this look like for the average person, right? Because once again, he's got a polarizing story and extreme examples of how he overcame all these really tough situations that would crush anyone else. But what happens with the reader when they read that is go, yeah, that sounds great and good for you, but that's not going to work for me because of X, Y, and Z. And now they start listing out all the excuses, right, of how that couldn't possibly happen for them in their life. That's why it's really important as the writer to bridge that gap for the reader to go, hey, here's very simple steps you can take to apply this, for example, just one thing. Right. And I'll give you examples. So, Renee, I'm sure you remember when I went through the G Code book and when I started writing down what I was grateful for every day. That was something that helped me through a tough season of my life where I just say it. I suffered from stinking thinking. I was negative about everything. And one of the principles that book taught me was just write down 5 things you're grateful for every single day for the next 30 days and start to watch a lot of things in your life start to shift, right? And, that was not easy for me because at that time I was like, I'm grateful I'm alive. Like the bar was not very high at that point in time. But what I noticed is that I started doing that over that 30 days. One, what I started being able to say I was grateful for got bigger and bigger, right? So I started building momentum. I also noticed that how I showed up and how I felt started to dramatically shift during those 30 days. And it all came from just one simple exercise of like, just apply this, because if they didn't have that, I would have read that book and been like, hey, it's great, Ryan Stewman, that you're super successful and you got cars and money and all these different things, but I'm not going to follow this because of blah, 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 blah. But he made it so simple on that to just, hey, just write down 5 things you're grateful for. That's it. And that kind of overcame the excuses and go, okay, I can do that. And then what it led to is ultimately changing my life.
Yeah, and that's a piece that we talk to people a lot about, and it's actually my trick and how I teach people to overcome imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is the root cause of it. It's from self-focus. You're focused on the wrong thing. You're focused on yourself, what people might think about you, what people might say about you, what you think about yourself, what people might say about your book. The trick is to reverse that to your mission. You need to be thinking about what people you can help, who needs you, who needs to hear what you have to offer, how you can help them, what mission you're on. And when you become focused on the mission you're on, and we just have seen this recently with Carter Check, one of our publishing partners, who is so mission focused. This guy's unstoppable, and he's out there helping a lot of people, like a lot of people, huge impact. And he's not getting in his own way because he's not sitting there thinking about himself all day. He's thinking about his mission, the mission he's on, and the people who he has out there to help. So huge part of overturning that. And again, helping and serving on the level you're on is all about serving others. And when you get in service of others, things get way more simple, and you get way less caught up on what people might think about you, what they might say about you, and the impact that you're able to have on other people, especially once you just start to see that first impact that compiles, and then it helps you gain momentum. And I'm going to get spiritual here for just one moment, going back to what Jonathan was talking about, all the voices in your head. So if you don't know this, especially Christians out there, I hope you are in the Bible. I hope you read the Bible. I hope you do more than that. I hope you get into the linguistic aspect of it too. But Satan, the word Satan in Hebrew, it does not translate into an image of what you might see if you watch South Park. So that's not what that actually means. In Hebrew, it means accuser, adversary, or opponent. So when you are working through kind of what Jonathan talked about, the video game, where you are working through the enemies, as he was saying, you need to be going in the direction of the enemies. If you are working through something, you are working through your opponents. So, we have a lot of people out there that are like, I've just got a lot of just evil in my life. And I feel like, all these bad things are being spoken to me. But that is, again, the enemy's way of keeping you from your purpose. And if you are, if you're a Christian and believe, what's in the Bible, then one, that you have a God-given purpose, and two, that Satan will try to stand in the way of it. But again, all Satan means is accuser, adversary, or opponent. So what are you going to do once you know that there is opposition, and that it comes in the form of discouragement from your purpose? What are you going to do about it? Are you going to let it defeat you, or are you going to work through it and overcome?
Amen. That was a good word right there. So yeah. So as you're crafting your book and you're getting clear on, okay, here are the things I'm going to teach to help this type of person. Really think about what's that simple thing I can have them go do that creates the most momentum, the low-hanging fruit win. And once again, you don't have to give them the exact all step-by-step of your entire journey, right? Because that actually might overwhelm them, right? But if you can kind of look at this from like, how would I, teach this person just something simple to help them get going and get some momentum in that area, that's all you really need to plant that seed. And that's, once again, really what's going to create and make your book a best helper at the end of the day, which is always going to make that reader a ranting, raving fan and leave them thinking, wow, if I got this from the book, what would I get if I took the next step? But it really just comes down to being mission focused first, and then really just crafting like, okay, what are the simple principles along the way, and what's something that I could teach you that, like, hey, I know if you do this one thing, it's going to help you get better in this area and start to bear fruit. It really is that simple. But the real fight is, like, my lovely co-host and wife and partner and all things just said, it's willing to lean into when the enemy shows up and not getting discouraged along the way. And just remember, you didn't come this far just to come this far, and you were given a unique purpose to go out there and share with the world. But you got to push through those tough moments so that you can get the blessing on the other side.
Now, here's the cool thing, what the book does for somebody, how it helps them, the step that they're able to take, the learning that they're able to implement. you can tie this very easily into what we call your CTA, your call to action in your book. And so we at Smart Publishing are very, very focused on what we call backwards design. We design with the end goals in mind, what you want the book to do for the reader, what you want the book to do for you. Very simple, those two things. So if you are someone running a business, you probably want the book to end up leading to more business, right? It's a really easy way to do that. If you're in person, you're handing the book off to people, you're shaking hands. Well, they already know how to get in touch with you because they've already met you. Or if you're doing it through the internets, then, chances are you already have each other's contact information. But what if your book were to end up in the hands of someone who you've never met, who doesn't have your contact information? How can the book serve as a conduit to bring somebody into your ecosystem, into your world? Now, I think two things need to be true. One, it needs to be organic to the book. So if you're writing a book that is inspiration about, getting through hard times, and then there's a CTA to go and hire you and your team to build a new roof for somebody, that feels really weird. That feels very, incongruent, disingenuous. It's not natural. It needs to feel natural. So for example, I'll use, my book, The 1 Hour Author, our book, as an example. Our book leads to a course where someone can essentially go through a course on how to create and self-publish their book. Now, that is a paid course, and it's a step above what the book is able to teach because the book is in a book form, and you can't do things like share video and all those things in there. But it's a natural next step for the reader, and it's something that helps the reader do the thing that we released the book to help the reader do, is get their book out to the world. So you can use everything from website addresses to, we recommend QR codes because it's really easy for someone to just hold up the phone and scan the QR code and send them to wherever. But we strongly suggest and strongly believe that your book needs to have a very clear and simple and fluid next step that is easy for the reader to get to with or without knowing you. If they get the book, there needs to be something in the book that is apart from you knowing them and them reaching out to you and being like, hey, I'd like to talk to you more. They shouldn't have to do that. It should be in the book, and it should lead them to the paid course, the speaking form, the consulting opportunity form, whatever it might be.
Well said.
Anything more on CTAs?
Nope. Real simple. You get clear on what the end goal is in mind, and you reverse engineer it. But it all comes back to like who you're actually trying to serve, and then aligning what your actual offer is to how can I serve these people on a higher level. It's really that simple if you want to boil it down.
Yeah. And that's what I mean by organic. It needs to feel natural. It doesn't need to feel like this like advertisement page, inside of something. It needs to be something that people are naturally drawn to want after reading your book. How do we land the plane on this one?
I don't know. You do a pretty good job. Keep writing your story, how it goes, and what have you.
Well, that's how we end it, not necessarily how we land the plane. I mean, I think we talked about, a number of things on this episode, everything from no, your book does not need to have a completely even page number on every chapter.
Look, we'll end it on this. Just, you are qualified to serve. That's why you're here. Who is it that you are uniquely qualified to serve, and give yourself permission to go serve those people? Writing a book is just one way you can do that. And obviously, we're a little bit biased, but it's a fantastic way to help a lot of people and separate yourself. But at the end of the day, you're more than qualified. You're sitting here for that very reason. Lean into it and go serve who it is you're called to serve.
Yeah. And why not you? I see on LinkedIn all the time executive coaches who have, less than a year of experience who are already published authors. Yet I have the guy who was on the forefront of executive coaching who is just now writing his legacy book and is still working through this feeling of imposter syndrome. So ultimately, you're the only one who can give yourself permission. And the way that I finally gave myself permission was I asked, if they're doing it or they did it, why not me? Why not you? There's no reason. There's no reason. There is always a level that you can serve on, to Jonathan's point.
Best investment you can ever make is in yourself. I'm a firm believer of that.
Amen. Well, you can always find us at smartpublishingservices.com. You can also find us on Facebook, where we are the most. Jonathan's on LinkedIn a lot these days. If you're searching on Facebook, Lautermilch. And also, don't forget, if you have not already subscribed to this podcast, hit that subscribe button. And if you would be so inclined to just spend 60 seconds of your time to rate and review this show, we would be honored and appreciative. It helps it get this content out in front of more listeners. And until next time, like we always say, keep writing your story because the world needs your voice. Take care. Until next time.